Hey, everybody. So excited for you to hear this amazing interview with my friend April. It's all about storytelling and how that can truly grow your business. And for those that have not been a part of our workshop, or if you have been a part of our workshop this week, the doors to our BYOB social posting platform are officially open. So if you're an entrepreneur and you are looking for a posting platform where you can create your content, schedule your content, up to 5 different social media platforms: Facebook groups, Facebook business pages, Google My Business, Instagram, LinkedIn, all of that. Our social media posting platform can do that for you. In the description of this episode is where you can sign up. It's only $49 a month. Cancel at any times. There's going to be an onboarding call next week to show you all about how to use it. So check out that link, but also enjoy this incredible interview with my friend April. Networking and marketing made simple is for you, the business owner who has a product, a service, or a message that you believe in. My name is Scott Aaron, and each week we'll take a behind-the-scenes look into the real-world marketing and networking tactics and strategies for getting what you have in front of you to a lot more people. Thanks for spending time with me, and now let's get started. Hey, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Networking and Marketing Made Simple. Super excited for today's episode. As you all know, I love doing these interview episodes to bring you other amazing entrepreneurs out there doing big things. And I have for you today, April Pertuis, and April is a storyteller. And for those that don't know the importance of storytelling in business, in coaching, in whatever you're looking to do, painting a picture for someone to be able to see, whether it's visually online or when you're on the phone or on a Zoom, it raises the level of connectability between you and your prospective clients, customers, future business partners, whatever it is. And it's so important to hone that skill. And obviously, I have an expert on with us today to tell a little bit about her journey and obviously how she became so skilled at storytelling. So with all of that behind us, April, welcome to today's episode.
Thank you, Scott. It's so good to be here. I appreciate the invitation so much. Happy to talk to your audience.
Yeah, and they're excited to have you here. So April, before we dive into the storytelling and everything else that you're doing now, share with the audience a little bit about your entrepreneurial journey. And in particular, was there a defining moment that you can recall that really kind of set you on this path that you're now on?
Oh, yes, for sure. Because as you know, it's not a straight path. It's not. Mine's a very squiggly line. And I think that's actually pretty common and real, right? It's never just like, oh yeah, I'm going to be an entrepreneur. At least that was not my experience. So, and also kind of telling a little bit of the story of how I even became to call myself a storytelling expert is number one, that I've always loved storytelling. I was that kid who wrote in her journal, read a ton of books, was captivated by other people's stories. My parents were extremely social and always were having parties at the house and inviting their friends over. And I loved being in the room with people as they were conversing and sharing their stories with one another, because that's really what you do when you have people over for dinner, right? You're just swapping stories. And I think that looking back now, something was really planted in me. A seed was planted that I didn't have language around this at 7, 8, 9 years old, but I think I learned and saw how when people shared their stories, you said it earlier, there's a connectivity that happens. And I saw that evidenced in my own living room with my parents throwing, get-togethers and always having friends over and being really social creatures. And so fast forward, right? I decide, gee, how can I make a living telling stories? That would be amazing. And I went into journalism school and made a career really in this field. Started out as a broadcast journalist, worked in television news, transferred that into script writing and working with brands to tell their digital stories on video. So I've, done a lot in the network marketing field and really helping tell success stories, transformation stories, and things of that nature. And there's a lot of squiggly lines in that story alone, just kind of all the twists and turns that my career took. But it was always rooted in storytelling. It was always rooted there. And a lot of that phase, to your question about entrepreneurship, a lot of that phase of my life and my career, I would have called myself, and I did call myself, a freelancer. I worked for myself. I didn't, for a long time, I worked for myself. In the early parts of my career, I worked for companies, but through the good bulk of my career, I was out on my own pretty at an early age because I'm feisty and I'm independent, and that felt good to me. But I didn't call myself an entrepreneur. I didn't call myself a CEO, a business owner, even though I was actually doing those things. I didn't actually claim that for myself. So the defining moment really came, probably 6-7 years ago now, when I had reached a level of success in my career that was satisfying, but it wasn't all the way to a level that I knew I was capable of. And I felt myself kind of always playing just under the bar. And I got curious about that. And I thought, well, what would it look like if I actually tried to take this to like a level 10 or a level 11, And that was really when I dreamed up the business that I have now called Light Beamers, because I looked at my vast experience. We're talking about 20 years of, work in the field. And I looked at that experience, and I looked at all the stories that I've told for people. I've interviewed thousands of people in my career. And I have been the one that has always pulled those stories out for them and then like packaged it up and said, here you go. And I thought, man, it would be really empowering, because not everybody gets sent a television producer or a video producer to their house to do those things. What if I could go teach them how to do that for themselves? Right. And that was a light bulb moment. And that was really the transition that I made into what I do now, which is essentially that, teaching people how to pull out their own stories and use them in really powerful ways that are super connected and will draw an audience to you like honey. And then to use that to leverage the story to do positive things in the world. There was another piece of it. I thought, man, there's a lot of ways we could be telling stories, and not all of them are good. So let's use storytelling in a positive way, because that felt very important to my work. I wanted to be that light, be a beacon of light for other people. And I wanted to teach other people that their stories could also do that. So I have a tagline at Light Beamers that I really live and die by. I'm like, this is so true, is that when we share our stories, we do shine a light, because as you said, other people can see themselves in your story. They can gain clarity. They can feel that, oh, thank goodness I'm not alone, or, oh, there's someone else that's been on a path. I can follow them. I can learn from them. All of these things, our stories can do, and it definitely has a place in business. And I know we can talk more about that. But at that point, I decided I was going to be a CEO. I was going to stop calling myself a freelancer, and I was going to own my own business, even though I'd been owning my own business for 20 years. I was actually going to claim myself as a CEO of a company. And it just changed everything. It changed my mindset. It changed the way I attracted more clients to me. It changed the level of work that came my way, the exciting opportunities that opened, that walked through doors. It's just changed everything. And I'm so happy that I did make that switch,
So going back to something that you said, your parents were very social. They always entertained. What did you take away from living through that experience with your parents being social butterflies and being very engaging with friends and family? And how is that kind of translated into the work that you're doing today?
I think I have a unique ability to draw that out of people, even if they don't consider themselves social butterflies, or, I have a lot of women in my audience that would tell you first thing they're an introvert and all of those things. They struggle with storytelling. I think introverts do typically, are people who kind of classify as introverts. I kind of have a whole philosophy around that language and that label, but for the sake of simplification, I think that a lot of people who would consider themselves introverts or are more inward, thinkers and don't socialize a lot with people probably struggle with storytelling a little bit more. And I think that there's just something, a skill. I can't name it. I can't really tell you how I do it. I don't know. I'm patient and I'm persistent with people. I think that comes from being a good journalist. I always tell people, I'm a hound dog, like I'm not going to let you go that easily, because I deeply know that there is a story inside of every person. And what I have witnessed is when those stories come out, they're extremely powerful for that person. And so I'm relentless, but I'm a relentless in a patient, kind, loving way that gives people space. And I think that I just have that ability to pull that out of people. They don't have to become social butterflies. They don't have to be, extremely extroverted to have success in telling their story and having it make an impact.
So when you're looking to tell a story, and people hear this all the time, they hear storytelling. And for me, I've always been a visually driven person.
Mm-hmm.
And I always, in part of my LinkedIn coaching, when I talk to people, I tell them, when you're telling your story, it's a visual Picasso drawing, but you have to be so clear with the picture that you're painting for them that they are going to be painting in their mind. It's almost like reading a book where I remember reading the first Harry Potter when I was in college. And I remember, reading this book, and as you're reading, it's a storytelling book, and it's creating these visions. So you're actually creating a movie in your head before the movie has even been produced.
Totally.
And the same goes when you're conversing with people. And you mentioned, we both have network marketing backgrounds. And I think part of where storytelling comes into that is painting a picture of what could potentially be possible for someone, painting a picture of, if you want your life to change, this could be a vehicle that you can use to attain the skills and the mindset and the tools required, so to speak, to achieve those things. So since people are striving for so many different ways to connect with people, and you see and hear people pitching and selling all the time, and it's just pushing people away, and people ask me, like, how are you so good at sales? Well, it's not that I'm good at sales. I'm good at connecting with people. And when you listen to them and you paint a picture for them of what they're looking to achieve and how you can fill that void, it makes the back end of that conversation, which is the sale, much easier. So for people that are listening to this that really don't understand the concept of storytelling, can you break down for the audience a little bit what storytelling is and how you can bring it into your business?
Yes, I want to piggyback off something you said there, because this is an important piece of storytelling. I think when people hear storytelling, they think I've got to verbally tell my story, or, somehow, you write your story or whatever, you're expressing it outwardly, right? Which is that. We're going to dive into that. But I will also tell you the first step to being a really, really good storyteller is being a really good listener. You have to be a fantastic listener. You actually have to give a damn about other people, and you have to actually listen to them, and you have to ask some good questions, right? Like, ask some good questions, and don't let them they don't all have to be leading questions, like they don't all have to point back towards you in the end. They could just be curious questions. So that's another good quality and trait of a good storyteller, is someone who is really curious. So allow yourself to be a good listener and allow yourself to be curious. If something is coming through your brain and you're curious and someone's telling you something and you want to know the next thing, ask it. That's a really good intuitive question to ask. When I train people about doing interviews and things like that, if they come to me with a list of questions of what they're going to ask their person in the interview, I said, rip those questions up, because you're not going to be listening for the clues and the cues of your next question. You're going to be so tied to the questions you've already written down. You're going to miss the whole juice of the interview. So there's a little bit of that. But really what a storyteller is someone who can identify some sort of connective tissue between two humans, yourself and your audience. And an audience is a crowd of two, right? You and someone else, you have an audience. Obviously, most of us have bigger audiences than one person, but storytelling can happen in that really intimate setting. And it can happen obviously on social media and all the things that we do today. So you really just have to find some connective tissue, and you're going to find that connective tissue once you've asked those really good questions and you've spent some time listening. And then you're going to say to yourself, have I ever, experienced something similar? Have I been in their shoes before? And now I'm on the other side of that story. I'm on the other side of that experience. If so, that's a story you could tell them, because all storytelling really is, at least from the view that I see storytelling, because I'm always really looking for transformative stories. I think if I'm an expert in storytelling, what I'm really an expert in is transformative stories, like transformation stories, because that's really the stories that we all want to hear, because it's kind of that guiding light that we're seeking. It's a resolution to our own struggles and pain and problems. And so you just have to find that connective tissue, think about your own journey and examine that journey and say, well, I was once there. I was once struggling with that pain or that problem or that feeling. And I get it. And if I tell them the whole story, it's not just I was once there, but it's then the journey you went on to no longer be there, right? And then you found solutions, you found resolution, you found the transformation. It's not too different than the story I shared with you on my journey of becoming an entrepreneur, right? Like, I didn't always call myself an entrepreneur, and I would have definitely felt uncomfortable with that word if someone said, you're a business owner, you're an entrepreneur. No, but someone could have identified in me early on and shared stories with me that say, April, you're an entrepreneur, you're a businesswoman. And that would have been really helpful to me at that stage. And I actually did have that. I have that in my husband, who, really did speak words over me and saying, you're doing a lot more than you're giving yourself credit for. So that's really what storytelling is identifying that connective tissue, thinking through your own journey and offering up that experience and offering up that story as a way to be that light to someone else, and then let them see themselves in your journey. And as a result, see a way through what they're currently experiencing. It's pretty simple.
You said a couple different things, and listening is one of the big things that you said. And I always tell people that we have 2 ears and 1 mouth for a reason. Mm-hmm. And yes. People tend to talk too much and they listen too little. And when you heard this in a presentation I did for a group that you're in, I said, you have to ASK to GET, you have to ask in order to get, and you have to ask great questions to get great answers. So why do you feel in business, and a lot of people getting started out, whether it's coaching, network marketing, whatever they're in, why do you feel it's really challenging for people to be good, active listeners and not always thinking about what they want to say next?
Well, there's a couple of reasons that I've noticed in people, and I've noticed it in myself. I've been guilty of it at times, is being almost too hyper-focused on the outcome that we're desiring, and feeling that just frenetic energy of like, oh, I want this so bad, right? And so like, all I can think about is that thing that I want, which is success and clients and business, business exploding and whatever it is, right? Like, I just want that. And so when we're so locked on to our own vision and goals, which is not a bad thing to have visions and goals, but like at the expense of not seeing the peripheral, right? Like, you're so tunnel vision that you're missing some things along the way, which is actually experiences that are going to kind of show you the way anyway. They're going to teach you. I think that we get so, and I see this a lot in network marketing, and I'm just going to single out this industry because I have experience in it, especially with new people to the industry, and their fast start programs and all the stuff that they do in that industry. They teach the fast start, but they won't teach people how to actually build relations.
So I want to pause right there for a quick second. Have you happened to see the Netflix or the Amazon Prime documentary on LuLaRoe?
No, I haven't.
Oh man.
I'll watch it.
Yeah. So it's on Amazon Prime.
Okay.
And it's a 4-part documentary on the rise and the current fall of the company and all the things that are going on in the lawsuits and how they are. It's a good watch, but it, you know, I built in network marketing for 4.5 years, and I grew a team to almost 5,000 people, earned some great money along the way, impacted a lot of people. But I remember just what you said, and that's why it triggered this, is that, in the company that I was partnered with, it was this fast track to executive. Executive was the highest rank in the company. And they wanted you to, they called it you share, they share, repeat. And it used to be called you two, them two, or something like that.
Yeah, they all have like buy 3, get 3. They all have it. Yeah.
So I remember, it took me, I didn't take the fast route. I hit executive in 9 months in the company, which is still pretty fast to hit the top rank of a company in only 9 months.
Right.
There's people that have never done it. And I always remember they had these 90-day game plans where, let's get your business to where it needs to be in 90 days. And I remember, so I always correlated everything back to the gym, because I've been I was a personal trainer for 18 years. And whenever I was training for a bodybuilding competition, or I was training someone just to kind of look and feel better, I would tell them straight up, this is going to be a process.
Yes.
This is not going to happen overnight. You're not going to wake up 30 days from now and be down 30 pounds. You're not going to look the way that you want even 6 months from now. This is going to take a couple of years, and you need to dedicate yourself to that. So I remember, one of the first books I read in network marketing is one of the first ones that a lot of people read, which is Go Pro by Eric Worre.
Yeah.
And he said it takes 4 to 6 years to become a professional in the network marketing industry. So I'm listening, I'm reading to what Eric is saying. And then I have the company I partner with saying that you can achieve all this in 90 days. I'm like, okay, so is it 90 days or is it 4 to 6 years? Because those are two completely different paths. And for me, I always followed the tortoise and the hare methodology, where it doesn't matter how you start the race, it's how you finish the race. No matter, and the analogy I use is that you can put Usain Bolt, who is arguably the greatest short track sprinter ever, in the 200 and 100 meter. You can put him in any marathon, he'll lose 100 out of 100 times, because he's built for speed, not distance. And I want people to really listen to this, is that, burnout in network marketing is a real thing. Burnout in business is a real thing. Anything that says quick this or fast that, or anything that relates to almost microwaving your business.
Yep.
Right. So think about, why was the microwave created? To cut down the amount of time it actually took to cook a meal. But is the quality of that meal as good as one where your mom, your dad, whoever cooked that meal from scratch, taking time to boil the pasta and warm the sauce and make the meatballs and throw them in the oven? It's much different. So why has this notion played such a huge factor, not just in network marketing? You actually see it now in coaching.
People see it everywhere now.
People making promises now. 60 days, you'll be making 100K a month in your business. So where has this shiny object syndrome come from? And how can people stop getting addicted to what they dream of wanting to achieve by all these carrots that are being dangled out there in front of them?
Man, Scott, I wish I knew the answer to that. I don't know. Like, if I had the answer to that, we would be saving a lot of people, right? From that syndrome that is rampant in our culture. And obviously, I think it's come with the speed of internet and the speed of technology, and everything is fast these days. I mean, I literally went to bed last night, and I thought to myself, I want to have a talk with my husband tomorrow. That'd be on the docket for today. Like, how can we slow down a little bit? Like, I just feel like even in our own household, things are like, right. And I'm like, we just I don't care what the world says about fast and speed and all that. Like, I just want to savor. I want to savor things more. I want to relish the stories of what we're living and experiencing. And that is way more interesting to me than just racking up a bunch of crap and credit of, tangible things or whatever. That just doesn't mean as much. And so I think, like, your microwave meal example is the same. It's like, yeah, you can get all that, but it's just not going to taste as good. And I really want to live a life that tastes and feels really yummy. And this really does, I see life through storytelling. I think that's just, again, it's been ingrained in me, and since such a small age. And because I've dedicated my life's work to storytelling, I can see how that's been, and I say this often, storytelling has been one of the biggest gifts of my life. And if I could teach every business owner to appreciate storytelling, which is what I'm here to do, it's what I'm trying to do. But if I could really get them to get it, and those that I have worked with that get it, man, I'm watching them. I see them connecting with their audience. I see them building amazing things. They're having doors of opportunity open. And it's not because they're like, knock, knock, knock. Have you seen my product yet? Knock, knock, knock. Have you checked out my website yet? Knock, knock, knock. Have you joined my group yet? They're not doing that. They don't have to do that, because they're connecting with people. And when they connect with people and you have real, pure, honest conversations, and naturally in that conversation, back to our network marketing friends, what do you do? What's your work in the world? Oh, I'm really this really great company. I sell vitamins, and I love the quality. I love the doctor that's, formulated these things. And these people have, just taken me under their arms, and they've really been showing me things that I've never would have seen myself doing before. It's been such a good stretch for me, on a personal growth level. And I'm attending conferences and listening to speakers that have just lit my fire. And man, I'm meeting people from all across the country. Like, that's a cool story to go tell, right? I mean, you mentioned vitamins once, right? Like, that's it, but you're not really selling vitamins at that point. And I'm just using vitamins as an example, but whatever, insert product. And insert opportunity, right? I'm not even selling the opportunity in that story, but actually I am. Because don't we all want to belong to a community of people who will wrap their arms around you and show you new things and take you to cool places and introduce you to amazing people that's going to further the enhancement of your own life? Yeah, sign me up, right? That's probably why you signed up in the beginning for your network marketing company. You're like, well, I want some of that. But they just tell the wrong stories. And so if I could get business owners to really understand the power of storytelling, I could save them a lot of money on all the other crap that they buy and invest in, and just get them to do it in a really long game vision way. Like you said, I want to cook the meal in the kitchen versus having the microwave meal. I really want to teach them that storytelling can do that for them. And in the long run, and with slow, steady pace, you're going to build a company and a business that you're going to be so proud of, and is going to feel richly rewarding. And you're going to see your own growth and trajectory through your own storytelling. And you'll be sitting where I'm sitting saying, it's been one of the best gifts of my life. It's been amazing. The people that I've gotten to connect with, and the stories that I get to hear from them, and the way that I get to serve my clients. I mean, it's beautiful. And I just want that for more people. And I think that storytelling is a vehicle to achieve that.
I could not agree more. So what would you, to the person that really, again, is still not clear on what storytelling is, but maybe they're getting a better picture of it now, what would you say is the number one asset to being a great storyteller when you're looking to grow a business?
Great asset is a willingness to put yourself out there, a willingness to be seen, a willingness to be exposed and be vulnerable. You're not going to be perfect. I tell stories every day, and man, some of them are still pretty messy. I'm always practicing new stories and discovering new stories. And I'm like, okay, here we go. Let's try this one out. Right. They're really not ever designed to be perfect. I don't script my stories. When I go live on Facebook, I don't, I'm just speaking. I'm just sharing authentically what I know and what I want to share and what I want to say. And Sometimes it lands, sometimes it doesn't. And that's okay. I did it for me, like I put myself out there and I was willing to just be messy. I think going back to like, we live in such a fast paced world and we want everything in that 90 days, right? Or 9 days. I think we also have this perfection complex. And I don't know, Scott, if you see this as much. I have a primarily women audience. So women I know really suffer from this. I know you probably have men and women in your audience. And so I don't know if men struggle with it as much, but I think that we still have this idea that we have to be polished. I mean, especially like think about LinkedIn, right? We have this image that we want to uphold. It has to be professional. It has to be like we have it all together. And the resume is this long of experience and expertise. And so when we don't have that, we suffer from that perfection complex that keeps people from just starting, right? Just start.
And what I love about this perfection complex, meaning not like I like it, I hate it. I feel Instagram is very responsible, responsible. And it's Facebook, obviously.
It's really all of them, like we've all been sold a bill of goods.
But here's the thing, what I love about LinkedIn, there are no filters on LinkedIn.
Yeah, exactly.
The only way a filter gets onto LinkedIn is if someone filters themselves on Instagram, downloads the photo and then uploads it to LinkedIn. So Instagram is really responsible for this, and social media for that matter, as you said, for this comparison, this imposter syndrome, where everyone is seeking something that doesn't exist. Perfection does not exist. Being perfectly imperfect exists. So they always say, well, you can't say the right thing to the wrong person. You can't say the wrong thing to the right person. Like you hear these anecdotes all the time. But what it comes down to is something that you spoke about throughout this interview is just being a good listener, being connectable, listening to people, conversing with people, and really telling a story. And this is why questions are so important, April, is because when you ask really great, clear questions, you're going to get really great, clear answers. And what you do with those answers is that you package them together in a way where you're building a story around the needs, desires, and wants of that individual. So now you're painting a picture that's relatable to them. They can see the picture. You've already painted it because it's already in their head.
You're using their own words. Like they just gave it to you. Right. And so, when you go find that story in your own Rolodex of stories that you can then relate back to them, they're going to say things like, here's when you've really landed with your clients and your audience and the storytelling is working, is you're going to get comments like, how did you get in my head today? Or, oh my gosh, I've had that same experience. And like, well, no joke, because I just listened to you talk about that. So that's why I'm sharing it with you. Like, of course you've had that same experience. I know. That's why I want to share that with you for a reason, because I want you to hear that. So, yay, I'm glad that landed. Right. And so when people start saying those things to you, you're onto something, you're going to do it right. And like I said, that may not happen the first time you share a story. You're going, there's a saying when writers want to write, like writers who become good writers, they write, writers write, right? Speakers speak, storytellers tell stories. Like you just have to start and let it evolve and grow. It's a craft. It's a skill. I have been doing this work for 25 years plus. And I'm still honing my craft. I'm just writing my first book as part of a collaboration project that I'm leading. And I'm writing a piece of my story in that book. And it's the first time I've ever done that type of storytelling, right? I've written published articles and things like that, but I've never written for an actual book. And this is different. And it has pushed me. It has challenged me. I've had to pour over it. I've had to get feedback. I've had to, edit and a lot of things. And it has been the best experience so far of, that I've had in a long time in my career, because it's those are the envelopes we have to keep pushing. This is you honing that craft. This is me honing that craft. And so you have to do that too. So you just have to put it out there and let it be messy. And we have to get perfection out of our minds.
Now, before we wrap up and get to my final question, I love everything that you said. How, for someone that's been listening to this and you've been speaking directly to them, you've been painting a picture and telling a story that they really resonate with, how does one now connect with you offline, on social media, to find out more about how you actually serve and help entrepreneurs in becoming better storytellers so they can increase their business?
The best place that I love to hang out and play, which I know you have a lot of LinkedIn followers, but it is on Facebook. It's a Facebook group that I started 6 years ago when I didn't know what I was doing. Like, I was just like, I don't know, I want to try and get women to like tell their stories. Let me figure out how to do that. And it has turned into this really beautiful creation in this group called the Light Beamers Community. And it's lightbeamerscommunity.com is in simple, direct to get there. Or you can just go to lightbeamers.com, which is my website, and click on community and it'll take you there. But what's inside that community is what's important, because inside that community it's number one, it's free. So like, just get in there, but don't just get in there and just to be a member. Like, don't just hang your name on the membership roll. Get in there if you actually want to do storytelling. Like, get in there if you actually want to let me teach you something, because I will, and I'll do it for free. We do weekly story prompts. And if there's one thing I'm good at, I can give you something to talk about. I will ask really good questions and probe you. And if you get in there for a month and you look at all of our story prompts and then you tell me you don't have a story and you don't know what to talk about, if there was such a thing as giving money back for a free offer, I would somehow give you money back for that. But it is really going to be an exploratory and powerful experience for you to actually get in there and just use our prompts and our community. And this is why I like the Facebook group, because we have that private, safe community where people can come and then share the story that they've been prompted to share. And they get to experience that messy and imperfect, and there's no judgment. Everyone else is in there doing the same thing. And so we do prompts in there on Mondays and Wednesdays. Monday is a written prompt that you will write your story, and Wednesdays is a video prompt. So you will get on video and speak your story. Both are really important, and both I teach on exclusively. So that's just a great place to start. And I'm in there, and I'm going to you're going to connect with me, and you welcome to friend me or tag me or whatever. Like, I want to see your stories. Like, this is my favorite thing on earth. Yesterday was Wednesday, and we had our Wednesday live prompt. And, by the way, that was a really good one. So I'm going to give this to your viewers, because this is a really great way this was so well done in the community yesterday. The prompt was simple, is like, look at the last 5 years of your life, and how much have you changed? How much have you changed in the last 5 years? Because what happens when you start to reflect on that, and this is what many of the women said when they were going live yesterday, going, wow, like, so much has changed in 5 years. And it's a really powerful way to express your own journey and transformation in 5 years. And then when you look at that, how empowering is that? Because then you can go, well, gee, talk about, we're not on the 90-day plan anymore, right, Scott? We're on the long-term vision. We're on the home-cooked meal path. And so when you look forward and you say, well, gosh, if I've done that in the last 5 years, what might be possible for me over the next 5 years? How exciting is that to think about that, So that was just an example of a prompt that we gave. And, we had people showing up yesterday, sharing their stories around that. And they were just all so beautiful. And, a lot of these women, I do get the opportunity to know, I get to know their businesses. And so oftentimes, again, I'll send them a little comment and say, okay, you need to go share that story with your audience, because that is so connected to your business. And so I push them, I'm like, go share that story. That's a really, really good one for you. And so anyway, that's a little bit about our community. You get to, obviously, by nature, because we're a storytelling community, can you imagine the connections that have been made in that community with all of its members? I mean, I get emails and text messages and private messages all the time, like, look who I'm meeting with. I'm having coffee with so-and-so, because they realize they live near each other. Or I did a Zoom chat with a fellow light beamer, they all call themselves light beamers. So We want you in our tribe if you really want to dig in and discover the power of storytelling for yourself. And like I said, you can start with just our free material. And some people never hire me as a coach or a consultant for them. And that is cool. Just come do our free stuff. And it's probably going to set you out on a path that's going to be really beautiful.
Yeah, it's about building the know, like, and trust. And when people see the value that someone gives away for free, it's going to prompt them to take some deeper action, to do some deeper work with that individual. So for all the listeners, how to find April and to join her Facebook community, that will be in the description of this episode. So I highly encourage you all to sign up and join so you can be a part of what she has going on. So April, final question before we sign off. What does success truly mean to you?
Success is, for me, I define it as freedom. Freedom is a top core value of mine, and happiness and joy, being with my family, creating space and beautiful memories. It is, money and all of those things that we sometimes associate with success really facilitate those things. And so I'm appreciative of that comes in. Obviously being in business, your bottom line is important, but it's not how I measure it. I really measure it by the richness of my experiences, the connections that I have with people, the time and the freedom that I have that I get to spend with my family, and just the stories that come from those experiences mean the world to me.
Money affords us to do certain things in life,
Yeah.
but success can be created each and every day with the experiences that we have. So I love that. April, thank you so much for coming on to the podcast today. I know my audience is going to take away so much, and I'm sure they've written down a ton of notes. If you've taken a lot away from this, obviously hop on the social media, share this episode out, take a screenshot, put it up there, tag us in it, let us know what your biggest takeaways were. But also you can head over to Spotify or iTunes, leave a rating and review of what the biggest needle movers were for you. And again, April, thank you again so much for being here today.
Thank you so much. And if anyone wants to tag, when they tag for the episode, I'm at Lightbeamers. So I'm pretty easy to find on pretty much all the social media channels. So tag me too, because I want to hear your big takeaways. I love to hear what your experience is from listening.
Awesome. So again, everyone, thank you again for tuning in today. Enjoy the rest of your days, and I'll talk to you next time. Bye, everyone. Thank you so much again for checking out today's episode. And if you are listening through iTunes, Spotify, wherever you are, please leave me a rating and review. Let me know what you loved, what you would like to see improved, or ideas you have for future episodes. And if you are interested in taking your business to the next level, don't hesitate to go to my website, www.scottaaron.net, where you can schedule a free discovery call with me, where I can learn more about you, your business, what you're struggling with, and how we can work together. And don't forget to check out my wife, Nancy, and mine, our free community on Facebook called LinkedIn Leads for Life. We would love to see you in there. Have a great rest of your day. And thank you, everyone, for your support. Grateful for each and every one of you.